ahead and ask her
You could please
your name and spell it.
say and spell your name and where you're from.
Jessie Grinnell, JessieGrinnell, originally from Yorktown, Virginia.
Jessie, if you could please describe a typical day teaching in Belize.
Well, I bike or walk.
Stop and let's repeat. If you
Oh,
wouldn't
right.
mind repeating.
A typical day for me teaching in Belize starts with getting up and either biking or walking to school, and sometimes I stop and get a snack or get the last minute school supply. I've got 3 standard 5 classes, which are equivalent to our 7th grade, and 2 standard 6. So I switch between teaching creative writing and English. So I'm preparing several different lessons a day. It's a little bit chaotic because the class size is so big, so trying to reach every single student has been a little bit hard for me. So recently I've been noticing that group work and partner work seems to work better. I get home around, or I get off here around 3:30 and then just start planning for the next day. So our days are pretty full.
How do you prepare or plan instruction here?
Well, we don't have the resources we're used to back home, so I just have to dig a lot for creative solutions, things that are going to keep interest. What I try to do is during my lessons throw in a little question about how do you do this in Belize. Tell me something about how things are done here, just so I could keep the students engaged and telling me things, you know, to keep them talking. But to plan, I normally just get whatever school supplies are around the dorm. We do a lot of poster work and taping up stuff that the students copy or activities they can do, considering we don't have overheads or anything like that. With creative writing, though, I've had some freedom to use journal prompts and use poems from back home, and the kids just learn from those, take things out, and they're excited to see things that they may not necessarily have here. So creativity is the #1 thing when you're planning without resources.
And do you collaborate with other teachers here?
Yeah, I work with the language arts and the creative writing teacher, and we bounce ideas back and forth off each other. So if they know that group work may not quite work for this one class, we can switch it to partners. But the good thing about here is as the day progresses, I can switch up how I instruct based on who my kids are in the class. So I do feel like with the teacher's support, I have a lot of freedom.
Have your perceptions changed of what it would be like to teach here? And if they have, how?
Have my perceptions changed with what it's like to be here? If so, how? Yes, I did not think it'd be this difficult. I mean, the first is a given. We don't have air conditioning, so on the sweltering days when the kids are restless and you're restless because you're dripping sweat, it's just really hard to focus and stay on task. So that's why I have my cheat sheet or my copy of my lesson right in front of me to refer back. The other thing, I did not think working without technology would be so hard, but I just go to reach for my mouse pad or something and it's not there. The lack of a printer, the lack of making as many copies as I need to for a class set. So I came here because I wanted to see if I could teach under these conditions without the technology I'm used to. Thinking that I could do it, piece of cake. I just think of something creative and clever, but it just takes a lot more work than that. I'm really happy I went, and I think it's going to help me understand my English language learners a bit better back home. So, yes, I think I'm doing okay here. But it is different than what I thought.
How do you try to meet the diverse learning needs of your students here?
How do I try to meet the needs of the diverse student population here?
When you answer, don't restate the question.
Okay.
Put the question in. Say, I try to meet the needs of the diverse student. Just put the diverse student part in.
Okay.
repeat the question. Exactly.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was forgetting
That's
it
fine.
some
That's
parts.
fine. The way we're
Okay.
editing it, that'll come out.
Good.
Yeah. So think about, you know, the learning needs of your students here. How do you try to accommodate or differentiate? How do you approach that?
Okay. To meet the needs of diverse learners here, I do pay attention to the groups. So if one student is struggling or is having trouble reading, I either give him more individual attention, knowing that the other parts of the group can handle it, or I try to team him up with someone within that group to help him out. If we're not doing group work, I will ask a partner to help another out. Again, just for cultural differences, like I said, I like to mix in stuff that they know here, along with things they may not have heard of back in the States. So it keeps it interesting. You know, since we don't have overheads, I think it's good for some of the kids to have those large, you know, poster board sheets with the lesson on them and stuff to copy from, just in case they can't follow along as I'm speaking. So just the visual there is really good. So there's, I mean, even without technology, there's a ton of ways to mix things up. You just have to focus on who doesn't seem to be understanding the words that are coming out of my mouth. That's a challenge for me too, trying to understand what some of the kids are saying, because we've got Creole, we've got Spanish and English. So it takes a while for it to soak in so I understand it. And I find myself having kids repeat things 3 or 4 or 5 times, but I think that's better than just standing there with a blank face and nodding. Although it takes a long time to get what they're saying, at some point their friends are going to help out and enunciate it better, so I finally get it. So I think that's a little bit of a reward for me when I'm struggling to understand and then I finally get it. So it reminds me though to slow down how I'm speaking, because when I get excited I go really quickly in my lesson. So I've had to stop and check myself and slow it down and just and understand that English is not their first language.
Is there anything you wish you had known to help you prepare to teach here
I
before
wish,
you left the States?
I wish I had known, in order to prepare for here, I wish I had known to make copies of whatever lessons I was going to do, because I found myself, before I found a copy shop, just handwriting short stories and poems out on paper and posting them up the front. But they also have a language book here that I've been starting to pull from, and the kids seem to like it a lot. So just again, with the planning, I wish I had things in mind, but I didn't even think that I wouldn't have a copy machine. Just things I take for granted back home. I really wish I had taken a week and thought about exactly what I was doing more. But since we're here, we just came here not really knowing what grade we were going to teach or anything. It was a little difficult to plan for that. So I think I've done the best I can do.
My husband's from Yorktown.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
What schools did you go to?
Dare Elementary,
Yeah.
York Middle School.
Yeah. Do you know John Crawford? John
Oh,
Patrick Crawford, the Crawfords.
I don't know.
He had a sister. She died at 16 in a
Oh.
car wreck, and she was about she was like a year younger than me, so that's your age.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so I didn't know if you knew Shannon Crawford.
I probably have, but it's so
Yeah.
long. I mean, I
Yeah.
left in middle school, so I was
Okay.
13.
Yeah.
But
I know lots of people there. Just
Yeah,
from
there's-
my husband, so.
there's jobs. There's a job opening back there I'm thinking
Yeah.
about taking.
Yeah, it's a
so,
nice area.
Yeah. I can disrobe.
We lived in Cone Creek, and that's where his parents
Oh,
lived. Yeah.
I know that.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. Yep.
Small world.
It is a small. I'll have to go home and ask him.